After the drama from episode 3, tensions were still high at breakfast. The after effects of the round table spilled over, and one thing that was clear, there was a certainty that one particular name would be front and center.
Tonight's roundtable is going to be a ring-a-ding-dong dandy of a time, and you know why? Kirkland is still roasting on the coals with a nice ripe apple in his mouth.
From the start of this episode, it was clear that Kirkland's name would be up for banishment again. Tranna was especially hung up on the look Kirkland gave Cedric at the previous roundtable. Kirkland has seemed to be less stoic as the show's progressed, and we start to see the emotional toll it's starting to take on him. The helpless position of having to defend yourself as a faithful while realizing that your words are failing to convince people. Well, I was surprised by the Traitors' latest victim for elimination. I thought they might go for Pac-Man, but instead Enoch was chosen. Part of the reason I was surprised was because Enoch was a strong ally for Kira, but when we saw the discussion between the traitors, it became clearer that that could have been the actual reason the other traitors chose Enoch. We had seen a couple of times that Enoch had been one of the main people who thinks Kira is a faithful. Even when Kevin made a suggestion in episode 3 that maybe she was a traitor, Enoch shot down that suggestion. Could Enoch's elimination be the beginning of Kira's downfall? I think there was a better chance of Enoch being banished than Pac-Man, especially given his role in Mary Jo's banishment. I wouldn't have been surprised if his name came up the next couple of episodes if Enoch had remained in the competition. I can't recall seeing this particular mission used before, though I'm still working my way through the world one season at a time. 5 volunteers having to describe an item in a box. With the possibility that what is being described isn't actually in the box, the others had to guess if they were telling the truth or not. Cedric, Kirkland, Kira, Melinda and Nick were the volunteers. I thought I would play along and try to guess who was telling the truth or not. Kirkland and Melinda had an item to describe and the others guessed correctly that they were telling the truth. I thought it was really obvious that Kira was lying. The lack of looking down really stood out to me, and the others guessed correctly that Kira was lying. The others I was confused by Cedric and Nick. I guessed the same way they did, thinking Cedric was lying and Nick was telling the truth. Cedric didn't describe the item he had very well, while Nick was too detailed when he had nothing. Let's see if that comes back to bite Nick in the future, because that will be an instant reason to question if he's a traitor. $6,000 was added to the prize pot, with Cedric and Nick winning the mystery weapon. The mystery weapon happened to be the dagger, which was in play for the first time for Canada, though many other versions have used this. The banishment vote for whoever has the dagger will count as 2. Other versions have varied whether or not the person holding it has the choice to use it or not. Karine decided to give Cedric and Nick the choice to either pick the dagger or the shield. Both Cedric and Nick chose the shield, and I'm not surprised. The dagger doesn't truly have an advantage unless you've heard your name is definitely on the chopping block for banishment or it's close to the final. Maybe they tricked us with the edit for episode 3 because Cedric's name was floating again with the word chaos attached to it. While he thought he could sit back and observe, Cedric didn't realise his name was one of those on the block. Cedric or Kirkland wasn't helped by the accusations from the previous roundtable when Kirkland looked at Cedric. Tranna was still running with the idea that they were both traitors.
Each roundtable is almost like its own mystery box, isn't it? Let's see what's inside tonight.
The roundtable was a very muted affair, a reluctance by many to talk. I was thinking it was going to be something like the previous roundtable, especially given the tension at breakfast. It really surprised me, especially given Tranna's words were about being open and working together.
I just don't want you to be on this show anymore. I'm so sorry.
Oh my days. For Laurie to actually say that was surprising. I was trying to stop myself from laughing from the pure shock of it, but also because it wasn't very nice. A lot of names were voted for, which became even more shocking because a lot of faithfuls were reluctant to actually speak. Kirkland was banished, which doesn't look good for Melinda and to a lesser extent Tranna. Before revealing her vote, Tranna no longer believed Kirkland was a traitor. After the banishment, Mike really went and called out the 3 names he thought were traitors, naming Michael, Jasmine and Laurie. 1 out of 3 ain't bad, seeing as no one else can do better. A murder in plain sight was the twist added to the end of the episode. Other versions have done this with a poisoned chalice or a kiss on the cheek. The task for Kira, Michael, and Neda was to get their chosen faithful to shake their hand and say they trust them. Not an easy thing to do, but the way to play would be to say it first and hope they repeat it back. I think I was equally stressed watching them trying to get a chance to talk to each other and carry out the task. I kept wondering if they looked too suspicious, especially Kira. It's hard to tell if this set of faithfuls would be clued up enough to have noticed. This set of faithfuls are kind of messy, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go another couple of episodes without banishing a traitor. At this point, I think it'll either take a traitor making a massive mistake or a traitor betrayal. Will the traitors accomplish the task before the deadline?